We got the best Janemba deck right here. Look at all this prizing. Ooh, this is the top prizing from Gen Con, right?
Yep, I got 5th place at Gen Con for the Zenkai Cup.
And there's a Supah Boi with the Janemba deck. So what are you running in your top winning Janemba deck, man?
I'll show the text, so if anyone who doesn't know, the leader is pretty straightforward.
Oh yeah.
The only downside to this leader is the permanent. You can't add battle cards costing up to 5 or more. And then, it's any cards in general actually. And then it's auto. When you swing, you draw. The opponent mills 2. At 4 or less life, you untap 2 to awaken. It's the same thing on this side. When you swing, you draw 1, you mill the 2 for the opponent. And then he has an auto once per game. You can discard 1 blue card and then I'll treat it as a negate.
Okay, so your goal is to make your opponent run out of cards in their deck, right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right,
So
look at that.
some space.
If you guys want to win, play whatever Supah Boi is playing in this deck. We're going to check it out. I'm excited to see Janemba is making a comeback.
All right, so for unisons, I have the Boo Unisons at 1. It's probably the most broken blue card in the game. It's double strike blocker, active main, you draw, and then untap it, energy in the Boo Unison on the opponent's turn. And then the minus one's pretty hopeful. It's a little board removal, which Janemba needs. When an opponent swings with a battle card, you just neg a marker and then choose a battle card and it gets sent to the bottom.
Yeah,
Even though you're sending it to the bottom, the board removal is pretty important because sometimes a big battle card
Oh,
swinging.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And
All
then
right.
the last unisons I run,
Oh, so you have pretty good amount of unison.
yeah, the Janemba unison's pretty important. For the most part, you only do the 0 ability where we both draw a card and then the opponent mills a card. I've never done the crit ability in the tournament, and in the Gen Con tournament I haven't used it, but in some matchups I do use the -2 where it gets a triple strike and a 15k boost. During the battle active main you can use it.
All right, so do you play them usually turn 2 or not?
It depends on the matchup, but for the most part, it's probably a turn 3 play because you need 1 energy open to be defensive. If it's a slower deck, then you can do it on turn 2. You shouldn't be worried.
All
Or
right.
you do it when you're about to awaken. You either save the awaken for this guy so you have 2 energy left, or this so then you have played it for free basically.
Continuous mills.
Yeah.
All right, pretty good unison package.
And then for the mill package also,
Oh, nice.
I run 4 Reality Bender and then 2 AOD. This one, when the opponent's at 4 energy and they have battle cards, and then you have no battle cards, you can play this for 1 energy. It's a critical, and then at the end of the turn you bottom deck him, and then the opponent mills 2.
Okay.
This guy you have to hard cast, so you have to know when to do it, because if it gets counterplayed, it kind of hurts your whole turn. But it's a critical auto when played. You get to untap an energy at the end of the turn, and active main, you get to warp him to draw 1 and mill 3.
So all of this mills your opponent some more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's basically the whole mill package.
That's the milling package.
And then now we're gonna go into the draw package.
All right.
I run grade 8s.
Ooh.
When they're in the drop, you just pay 2 to warp them and draw 2. This helps a lot when you're losing hand advantage. It's black smoke. It helps you also draw. And then if you need to get rid of stuff with barrier or a unison card, it does additional effects. So that's why I have them in the deck. But for the most part, I use it to draw 2 unless I'm going against barrier decks.
Okay.
And then
So-
for more draw power, I also have this Overrealm.
Oh, wow.
I try to do it when I have exactly at 4, so I don't waste resources because I have like D magic for the sparking.
Oh, I see
so
what you're saying.
I want to count every card possible in the deck to be useful. Best play is when you Overrealm, you just dump the 8, so then you have a follow-up or draw 2 play right after.
Uh-huh.
More draw cards, it's a super combo.
Oh, dang.
When you have 4 or less, you just bottom deck a card, draw 2, get 10k, another draw package.
Oh, you got a lot of drawing.
Yeah, I need to keep my hand size high. This one you pay 1 combo energy, and then when you combo with it, you draw a card. More draw power.
Whoa.
Beers destroy. So you draw a card, and then if it's on your turn, not the opponent's turn when you do it, you get to bottom deck a 2-drop or less. It does come up once in a while if they're trying to like push big with the little guy. Or you can do the offensive one where you choose a card greater than their energy and get rid of it as well.
Yeah, that
so that
card's
helps a
good.
lot too.
Man, you got a lot of combo power. Oh, you got more.
Yeah. This one I rarely use for the draw ability. I use it mostly for defense, but on the offensive, you get 15 and you draw a card. And then defensively, you get 15k in untapping energy. So the untapping helps a lot too while you're trying to be defensive. I ran one Goku Black. It's also another draw card. It's just a tech. It's a double strike. You can play it for 1 if you have 3 or more Z energy during an active battle. And on play, you draw a card, and then you bottom deck a 4-drop or less. So you can do it if there's a 4-drop or less card that's swinging
Attacking.
for big. Then they just wasted their resources. And then my last draw engine is Kami.
Oh, you run Kami?
Yeah, I need to because there's some matches where they build a board. So just for 3 energy, I get to draw a card and then clear anything that's 4 or less.
Nuke the board?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that helps for Janemba.
Pretty cool, man. You got a lot of drawing potential in this.
Yes. There's some games where I was close to decking out before my opponent just
Oh,
because I was
man.
drawing so much. And then for my negates, I run max power. This card's great just because when you negate, you can warp up to 4 cards to add it back. And even though you can't activate it again that same turn, you can use the super combo. And then this is most of the time I use to bottom deck after I use the negate one since I can't use it for the turn. So I get to keep all my other cards that are alive. And then I run defending friends.
Oh, another negate.
Yeah, this negate is pretty controversial because most people, and I will admit myself in the beginning, the auto is when you have 3 or more Z energy, a Z leader or a Z battle card. When it comes into play, for each swing that your opponent does, they got a bottom deck a card. And then for Janemba, you're trying to mill them out. So
Oh, I
using,
see
like-
what you're saying. So it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, exactly. So you feel like then you're stepping behind from the mill game. But with my teammates Alex and Daniel, they showed that this card's good against like aggro matchups. If they're really committed to aggroing, they're gonna lose the hand, and if you can defend, they can't push the following turn. And then the way I use this card too, I either set at 2 Z energy, and if I use it as a negate, I don't have to do the auto.
Yeah.
I have to just time it perfectly. So if I have more than 3 Z energy and I don't want them to bottom deck, I usually use this as my last negate so they don't have to bottom deck. So you just gotta play around it. And if you don't agree with this card, 2 other good options could either be the Goku Vegeta counter. It comes in the rest mode like this guy, but it's auto. You have to wait till they swing at your leader. It beans the leader and you bottom deck the Vegeta Goku. Or you can do the blue Roshi. It just comes in active negate.
Okay.
But yeah, this card put in a lot of work in the aggressive matchups.
Hey, it's good then.
Yeah. 2 with coercions, you just get to negate and untap, so that's broken. And then the superior version is D magic.
Oh,
You get to tap 1 to untap 2, or you can do the sparking to take a life and then untap 2. So this card helps a lot. And then I love this card in the Vegito matchup, or any of these negates really, but especially these 2, because if you negate against Vegito and they try to almighty resistance you to negate the counter so you don't get to untap, you get to use the leader's auto then right after to pitch a blue card and it still negates the attack.
Oh,
It's a-
that's pretty cool because they countered your counters. So you
yeah.
can still.
So then I'm doing an auto resolution.
Oh.
So then for the next one, you just gotta hope you have another D magic so you can untap the 2 after they countered it.
I mean, you got a lot of negates in there.
Yeah. And then that's all for my negates. And then the last cards in my deck are Bean.
Sensibean.
Yeah, it just gives the leader a 5k boost basically, and you untap 2. It was way better when you could use this offensively before they eroded it, because before when you do it offensively, you can play all the Janemba unisons out and mill them, turbo mill, but it's still good defensively. And then the SER, probably the best one for Janemba is the Vermilion Same. So for this card, you basically get 5k for each card you warp, and the amount of cards you warp is based on the opponent's and yours energy and battle area for different colors. So if I play against the mirror match, it kind of sucks. You only get to warp 1.
Yeah.
But any other deck, you get 2 to 3 off at least.
Yeah.
But that's why I run like Kami and then some cards in my
black
Z deck.
cards?
Yeah, so I can get the additional warp if I'm really desperate.
Yeah.
The attack still goes through, but the boost helps, and they can't really push you for the rest of the turn.
Damn, that secret's beautiful.
And then for the Z deck,
All right, the Z deck. That's a new addition to the Dragon Ball Masters.
Surmounting, it's just a good card to filter through your deck. You can crit a life, I mostly don't. I usually just bottom deck a card and then draw a card.
Okay.
If I'm desperate, I can take the card, but most of the time I don't.
Just
And then it's a
filter?
black target for Vermilions too, so I can warp an additional card.
That makes sense.
I got 2 Beeruses.
Z deck.
They help me clear the board for problematic cards that have barrier or just big cards in general. And then if I pay 2, it becomes dual attack, and then at that point I get to choose the card ignoring barrier and bounce it as well.
Yeah, that guy's good.
I have Cell, that's also board removal. This card's great just because it takes all 5 costs and less, and then it gets 2 swings, so I can try to swing at big cards. And since it's critical, sometimes I swing at their life, so they don't get resources.
That makes sense.
I can do this and then the Janemba Unison to try to push for a game with a triple strike.
Nice.
I run this one Goku. It's good just because it has barrier, and it helps when if your opponent has a bigger hand than you, you just reduce their hand size to 10 cards. So then you're ahead of them with the draw power and the hand advantage. And then this card I never went into in the tournament, but it was just there just in case I needed a finisher. It's just a triple strike barrier, and it's a blocker. And then for the side deck,
Dang. So that's the Janemba deck, now the side deck. It's
Yeah.
crucial here.
I run 2 hit unisons.
Oh, why that guy?
So when I played this in the San Diego regional like 2 years ago, I played against Vajanks in my very first round, and I can't beat them with mills, so I gotta flip their leader
Oh,
to make sure I can build
unawaken
them out. And then technically you can use this against Android 21. If you flip them, they can't use extra cards. So if you're trying to go aggressive, they can't negate with their D magics or use Senzu Beans or Realm of the Gods. So it can come up, but I rarely side this in against 21. But it's there mostly for Vajanks.
Okay.
Depora, it's just for hand destruction. Janemba loses hard to hand destruction, so this helps you gain cards again.
Okay.
Shin helps in the Gohan matchup a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's auto when you play it, you draw one, and then auto if like you have 3 or less energy. They can't swing with, I believe it's 7 or 8 costs or higher. 7 costs or higher, so they can't do their 8-drop Gohan Goku, and they can't burn you. So this card helps a lot. I try to do this and then follow up with the Boo Unison after, so I have that all set up. I have 2 more Whisk Coercions just for the extra aggro matchups, or for Green Gohan. I need those negates.
More negates.
I have Jiren. Jiren's good for Tide. This deck loses hard to
Oh, yeah, turning the Tide?
Yeah. So I need to have that. I did, in my final round, I played against Android 21. He baited my energy, so I couldn't Jiren, and he tied me, but I barely won the game. I was just lucky to draw into all my draw cards on the following turn. Desperate Measures is a good counterplay. It helps in the 21 matchup too if they try to bring out their 1-drop Z battle card. They can't Z stack, and then they don't get to ramp. So
they lose the whole turn.
Yeah. And then Mofuba. Mofuba's good for the cooler SER because besides Vermilion, I don't have an out to that secret rare, and they rip my whole hand already, so it's rough. So I just need a turn to stop it, and then I can get back in the game after that. But that's the whole deck.
There you have it. And like we always say, y'all stay
Super.
super.